Welcome back into the Star after a holiday week. Hope you all had a wonderful time. Maybe tried to forget about that game.
Yes.
The Eagles?
That was the key, yes.
Tried to, but now that I'm back in the building, it kind of all came flooding back as a reality.
You got away from it, but now you're reminded everywhere you go.
You see it once more.
This is who we are right now. Quickly, before we get started, let's take a little Christmas recap and see if everyone had a great day. Dave, what'd you do?
Dave.
What's poppin', Dave?
I went and saw Star Wars.
Okay.
It's not very good.
Really?
It's not.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
wow.
It's not. I was disappointed because I came on the show and said that it's like the best franchise ever. It still is, but that movie's not very good.
You did go hard for them.
I'm sorry. I did. No,
Last
I
week
did.
You were riding on
It's not. It's a mess. It's a big mess.
Wow.
There's a lot of inconsistencies, a lot of plot holes. I like the characters, but the movie's not very good. That's my dog. I didn't get to see my family this year, so Josie has to stand in for
Covering
me.
this awesome team.
Way to go, buddy. Love you, Joes. Merry Christmas.
Yes. Well, is it my turn?
Yeah,
I got to go up to Colorado for one day and hang out with my family, and we decided to invite Jeff Heath and Jason Witten over for a few time. Look at that. We had some goats come into our home.
Never heard of this.
It was amazing. They loved my mom, of course. She's an animal whisperer. It was so much fun.
Inside your house.
It was amazing.
That's what could be better.
What could be better? It was greatness.
BC, you didn't have to practice. That's the main
I
thing.
do not miss that part about it. But for me, I just hung out with the family like everybody else. We went and did a carriage ride down at Highland Park. So we were just, yes, we were looking at all the lights, all the compounds. That's me and the fam kicking it.
Why are you like mean mugging?
I always do that. I always do that. That's me and the young one. So yeah, we were just hanging out, watching lights. He was opening his train tracks, his battery-powered stuff.
very happy.
Oh, he was charged all day.
Christmas with kids makes it all worth it. That's pretty much all I did. Anything Riley wanted to do, open presents, not open presents, eat, run around. We did all of that.
Did
So,
not want to open presents?
well, honestly, after our Christmas and then both sides of the family, he was kind of like tired of tearing the paper. Like, what are we doing? Why do I have to keep opening things? I just want to play with
We've
stuff.
got photos we need to take of you. That's why.
Smile, Riley. But we have to throw in our guy, Big LC, Lyle Collins.
This is
outdoing all of us by buying his mother a home for
That's
Christmas.
huge.
That's pretty dope.
Huge. I love Lyle Collins. He doesn't ever get enough credit for anything he does, but he likes to fly under the radar, but not this time, big fella.
Yeah,
Gotta
fulfilling
shout
a
out.
childhood dream. And she's looking swaggy as ever, rolling up to her new home.
Oh, I see the resemblance.
Oh, this is awesome.
That's awesome.
That's really cool, man.
There's Lyle. I know, we got to get a shot of Lyle, and they're just laying low, checking out the new digs. It's
That's
beautiful.
really cool.
That's awesome. Doing that for
Christmas
your
to
family.
remember.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Shouts out Big LC. Guys, I see him setting up for practice outside, right behind the cameras out there for the field. But we got to hit that injury report because some of these guys earlier this week, by that I mean Christmas yesterday, were out.
A long week. Yeah, the list is long.
There you go.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of big names. Dak Prescott still not practicing. His fourth practice. Missed.
DeMarcus Lawrence out.
But I
That's
don't,
kind of a new one.
I don't think those are like game concerns, though. Like, I mean, Dak played against the Eagles. I assume he's going to play against Washington, even if he has a limited week. Same thing, Tank's on there with a shoulder. If anybody's dealt with a shoulder injury before, it's DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah.
Played through like a torn labrum a couple seasons ago. I think these guys are going to be okay. But yeah, I mean, after watching the way Dak played in that game,
It's very worrisome.
it's hard to feel confident. Yeah.
Get the
How can
practice juices flowing.
How can he get that mental reps going throughout this week at all?
I mean, get the mental reps going. That's all you can do.
Reality system that they had going for the quarterbacks.
I think we saw that the mental reps weren't enough last week. So we might
This
need to
is
get a
true.
little bit more
Maybe you can get into
maybe
practice by
today.
Friday. Maybe.
Let's go to behind enemy lines. Talk about some of these Redskins we are going to be facing. Just a quick reminder back in week 2 when the Cowboys beat Washington. Yes, they did.
They did do
Remember
that.
that shock where they held Adrian Peterson to, 21 rushing yards?
Yeah.
They looked like world beaters in this game, man. Yeah. Oh, remember Devin Smith was on the active
Devin
roster in that game.
Submit.
No, I'm not throwing shade. That might have been the last ball Devin Smith caught this year, honestly.
I think it was.
What a highlight reel, though, for
Is
him.
this scary when you started tuning in and watching the Cowboys? Were you pretty impressed by Kellen Moore at this point?
At this point, I thought Kellen Moore had all the juice. I mean, I'm sitting there thinking this guy's going to have this offense going off the scales. And they have been. I mean, they put up a lot of yards and a lot of great ratings, but, some people say those are garbage time stats. But I thought at this point in time, Kellen Moore was on the hierarchy on his way up.
Look at how happy they were.
Yeah, so good.
Dak's running off like
Stiff arming
undefeated
Norman.
here.
I mean, it was a great time.
Do we have any matchups that have been just on your mind throughout this holiday season, David?
Can we talk about how hard I had to look for a matchup? Because, no, seriously, do you know how banged up this Washington roster is right now?
It doesn't matter.
I know it doesn't matter. I'm saying I don't even know any good players on this team. I'm going with Montez Sweat and Lyle Collins because Ryan Kerrigan is on IR, just like everybody else on this Redskins roster.
Yeah.
So Montez Sweat, if you don't remember, first-round pick out of Mississippi State, fell in the draft a little bit due to an irregular heartbeat, I believe.
Okay.
Very, very, very good player that they got at a discount. I think Lyle will get the better of this right now. He's got 5 sacks on the year. He's still growing as a player, but this is a name to know just moving forward. So it will be a good look at the young guys on this roster because guess what? There's nobody else who can play for the Redskins right now. They are hurt, man.
Yes.
Yeah, seriously.
My matchup is also 2 guys that were on the injury report yesterday, Morgan Moses and DeMarcus Lawrence. DeMarcus Lawrence obviously didn't practice yesterday. Not a concern. He will definitely be playing in this game. And I think in this matchup, DeMarcus actually has a lot on the line mentally. This was a bad season for him. One he probably wants to forget after becoming the highest paid player in Cowboys franchise history. He only has 5 sacks on the year. Eat up against Morgan Moses, who's dealing with a knee injury this week. Don't let Adrian Peterson be a dominating force in this game. DeMarcus Lawrence, come on, do it this week.
Yeah, you led right into my matchup. I got a matchup of 2 veteran players. I got AP, Adrian Peterson, and Sean Vintage Lee. Now, Adrian Peterson, it's in his 14th season, I believe. He's still playing at an extremely high level. He has over 800 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns. And in between the tackles, he still has that explosiveness, that violence, that speed that we've seen in his rookie year. I mean, if you give this guy a little sliver, he can take the ball 70 to 80 yards. You do not want to sleep on Adrian Peterson for this matchup. Now, the next guy, Sean Vintage Lee.
This is like the AARP.
It is.
matchup of the
I'm telling you, I'm breaking it all down.
So
I'm breaking it all down. Sean Lee, this guy. See, you mess up my whole day. I don't even know what's going on now.
I'm
Sean Lee,
sorry.
go out there, Vintage Lee, do what you got to do, beat these guys up, and hopefully they get a chance to go into the playoffs.
It is veteran matchup.
It is veteran.
If they were playing at noon, I would say it's the early bird special, but they bumped the game back to 3:30.
They're still hitting the matinees.
Yeah, it's a matinee. It's a matinee showing.
You guys need a little refresher of the playoff picture. Cowboys were over in line as division leaders, now bumped over to in the hunt.
They are the only team in the hunt. Like, that's how locked up this whole thing is. Everybody else is already in. The only thing that can be decided is who wins the NFC East.
This makes it exciting just for the simple fact of being at AT&T Stadium because you know the in-game presentation, they are going to be flipping back and forth to that other game, the Eagles and the Giants, the whole time. The crowd might get into it. It might fuel these guys. Now, Barry, at halftime, do you think that they're going to be checking on the score of the other game?
For sure. I mean, people are going to run in there to the locker rooms, checking their phones, making sure things are going their way. But I mean, this is going to be a tough matchup for the Cowboys. It's going to be a tough matchup for the Cowboys overall. I mean, hopefully,
you can say whatever you want about how disappointing it is, and some people say they don't even want the Cowboys to make the playoffs. But it's going to be fun if the Eagles are like trailing at halftime. Like let's say the Cowboys are up 3 at half, and
Like
the Eagles
they
are
did
down
against the
7.
Giants 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and like people are gonna be watching. They're gonna be flipping back and forth because you can't help yourself but to get excited in a situation like that. I'm glad the 2 games are happening at the same time.
NFL did something smart.
For a change.
Here we go. 2-minute drill time. Question for you guys, because yes, there is a chance that with all this talent on the roster, the Cowboys may not make the playoffs. If they don't, what would be the biggest reason for you? What would it come down to as X, Y, Z is why the Cowboys were not able to get to the playoffs?
For me, I got to look at this defense. I mean, coming into this year, they were a top 10 defense. We just haven't seen that so far this year. I mean, they've gone against a couple quarterbacks who I feel like they should have dominated. I mean, they go against a guy from New York, Darnold, who he missed a whole month from mono. He came back. He looked like a world beater against this defense. You got Trubisky out there looking like Lamar Trubisky. And then you got last week in Wentz, who was down his top 2 targets, and he still went out there and outperformed this defense. So for me, they're going to look back and say, hey, we got a couple games that we should have won. Got to put it on the defense for this one.
Yeah, D-Law said it Sunday, and he kind of retorted a little bit, but talent without direction is nothing at all. And that's truly what this season might come down to be, is they had all of this talent, but did it have the direction? And not just from coaching. I'm not going to put it all on coaching. Did they have the direction from themselves, knowing what they wanted to accomplish, knowing what they needed to do? I mean, they really didn't have any too crazy of injuries. You're looking at that defense. It was really Tyrone Crawford. I mean, banged up different things. It's just, where was the direction they needed this year?
If I could boil it down to one word, I would say focus. This doesn't seem like it's been a focused team since about September. You remember Dak Prescott way back when saying we were smelling ourselves a little bit, buying into the hype a little bit. Maybe the coaching hasn't been on point. Maybe players haven't been as focused. You can take it back to DeMarcus Lawrence talking about they were playing too aggressive, pressing, and not playing sound defense against Chicago and against Buffalo. That comes down to focus, doesn't it?
It's true.
The offense, not able to consistently churn out good games. I mean, they put up yards, but do they do it week in and week out against top competition? Doesn't seem that way. Doesn't look like their wide receivers were focused in crunch time against the Eagles. Looked a little frustrated out there. This team has not been focused for most of this season, and when they haven't been able to sustain it over multiple weeks at a time.
Drop the mic.
You guys have all dropped the mic. I don't disagree with any of this. Everything was cleared up, 100%. All of it was covered, just like we do every day here on Cover 4. That's what we do. We're coming back tomorrow, Friday, for another show over at the Guitar Pick.
Oh my God.
See you guys there.
It's tomorrow.
Happy holidays.